4 grand? Are you kidding me? My sister-in-law laughed, holding my wedding gift like it was trash. I smiled back. It's the last thing you'll ever get from me. Little did she know within a week, her new life would collapse. I didn't grow up dreaming of running a business with dye-stained hands and raw cotton beneath my nails, but life has a funny way of choosing paths for you. By 33, I was running my late father's hand-dyed textile studio in Savannah, small, stubborn and fiercely traditional. The studio had been in our family for 3 generations. While most people turned to synthetic mass production, we stayed loyal to handcraft, and to my surprise, that loyalty found buyers, especially overseas. My husband, Connor, worked with me. We met when he apprenticed under my father, quiet, methodical, the kind of man who didn't need to raise his voice to earn respect. We married 3 years ago, built a rhythm between business and home. I trusted him completely. But if there was one constant thorn in our side, it was his younger sister, Tessa. Tessa was the opposite of everything our studio stood for. She lived in Atlanta, worked in luxury brand marketing, and had a curated social feed that could rival a Vogue layout. Every visit came with some backhanded compliment or barely masked dig, still working with plant dyes. That's so authentic. She once said, nose wrinkled like she'd stepped in something. Another time, spotting my calloused hands as I brought in a dish for Thanksgiving, she said, "Oh wow, do you actually serve food with those fingers? That's brave." Connor always brushed it off. Called her harmless, but I knew resentment when I saw it. She didn't just dislike me. She didn't understand how someone like me, quiet, grounded, unpolished, had her brother's loyalty. She couldn't stand that I didn't try to impress her. So when she announced her engagement, we braced ourselves. Her fiancé, Logan, was the son of a regional credit union executive. The entire event had the feel of a social climbing maneuver disguised as romance. The engagement photos were magazine-level staged. Her captions made it clear this wasn't just a wedding, it was a brand relaunch. Weeks later, Connor came into the studio holding his phone like it had bitten him. Tessa sent a message. He said she wants us to commit to a cash wedding gift, minimum $4,000. I blinked. Did she just set a price tag on being family? She said she's trying to avoid cheap drama on the big day. Wants to set expectations early that night. Sitting on the porch with sweet tea in hand, I said, let's give her what she asked for. Connor turned to me, seriously, yes, but this is the last time she insults me and still gets a check out of it. She won't appreciate it. I'm not doing it for her. So we wrote the check, I placed it inside a thick cream-colored envelope, added a handwritten note wishing them joy and strength, and sealed it with a wax stamp. Presentation mattered to Tessa, let her have her performance. The wedding was held at a waterfront venue in Charleston, white linen tents, signature cocktails, a string quartet. Everything screamed curated opulence, but Tessa didn't look like a bride in love. She looked like a CEO running a product launch. The moment we stepped inside, she descended on us, veil trailing behind her like a designer accusation. Her eyes locked onto the envelope in my hand without a word of greeting. She snatched it, peeled it open right there in the lobby, and pulled out the check. 4,000, she muttered, voice just loud enough to carry Connor tensed. I kept my expression neutral. You really thought that's all we were worth? She said, laughing now, her friends giggling behind manicured hands. I looked her in the eye. You're welcome, I said, calmly, that's the last gift you'll ever get from me. Her smile cracked just slightly. We walked into the reception hall like nothing happened. The room sparkled with fairy lights and white roses, but the tension from the lobby clung to my skin at our table. Connor leaned in and whispered, I should have said something. No, I said, she's not worth our breath. Throughout the evening, Tessa made rounds like royalty. Her dress trailed behind her like a silk cape. Her smile turned on and off like a spotlight. Logan followed her, quietly, nodding, sipping water, occasionally, checking his phone. Something about him felt disconnected, like he was standing in the wrong wedding during the toasts. He barely raised his glass when the photographer called for the couple's kiss. He hesitated before leaning in. You see that, I murmured to Connor, he's not into this. He said simply, it wasn't nerves, it wasn't stage fright. It was resignation. Logan looked like a man completing a task he never signed up for. Later, as guests began lighting candles and lining up for the couple's procession, Tessa floated toward our table. Her champagne glass was full, but her tone was dry, enjoying the Salmonet. Isa? She asked sweetly. It's flown in from New Zealand. Thought it might be a step up for your palate. Delicious. I replied without blinking, glad to hear it. Didn't want to waste the good stuff on the, rustic types. She swept away before I could reply, but I didn't need to. She was performing for herself now. Connor reached for my hand beneath the table. Do you regret writing that check? No. I said, I regret putting her name on it. He snorted. I let myself smile. After the final dance and the obligatory sparkler send-off, we made our way to the car, relieved it was over, but just as we reached the parking lot, a voice behind us snapped through the night. What did you say to Logan's dad? We turned. Tessa stood there, barefoot, heels dangling from one hand, dressed slightly askew, mascara smudged at the corners. She looked less like a bride and more like someone who'd wandered out of the wrong party. I saw you talking to him. She hissed, what did you say? I tilted my head. We exchanged pleasantries, business talk. You're trying to get in his ear, just like I said, you're so transparent. You asked us not to deal with his bank, I said. So I told him we wouldn't, simple as that. Her face twisted, unsure whether to explode or retreat. I opened the car door. She called out once more, "You don't get to ruin this for me." "Eliza," I didn't answer. Connor slid into the driver's seat. I watched Tessa in the side mirror, standing there in her crumpled silk, completely unaware that her perfect world had already started to crack the morning after the wedding. I expected to feel anger, or at least frustration, but I felt nothing. It was a hollow calm like the silence after a hurricane. I went to the studio, made tea and dyed silk without thinking. My hands worked, my mind floated. Connor kept checking his phone, waiting for some post-wedding explosion, but there was nothing, not a text, not a call, just absence that lasted 3 days. Then on Monday, while I was reviewing shipping invoices, the bell above the studio door chimed. I looked up to find Charles Bailey Logan's father stepping inside. His suit was flawless, but the look in his eyes was anything but Mrs. Morgan.